Rick, I've been running into people this week, and believe it or not, I thought this show was known by absolutely everybody far and wide. But more so, I thought you were known by people far and wide. I've been talking to folks, and they say, "Oh, who do you talk to?" And you say, "Oh, I talk to Riccardo Bosi." Who? Riccardo Bosi. Right. Don't know who he is. He's the guy with the 2% tax idea. Oh, right. That's when the penny drops and they start to get a bit interested. It's interesting to me that even if I say, the former SAS guy, wears the hat, a beard, army, shouts and swears a lot, absolutely no recall at all. The 2% tax guy, just about 100% recall.
Yep.
So I think you've found your hook, mate. We need to
Well, that's why we
maybe
put it out
talk
there.
more about that. Yeah.
That's why we put it out there, because there are a lot of issues that that people talk about, and they're busy, and I get that, and that's why we put that out. The 2% tax, as I said, we're still. Oh man, I wish we had it out by now, but we don't. They're finishing off it's not just the tax policy; it's the economic recovery. There's a whole range of issues at play. It's got to be a sophisticated plan. This is where the intelligence part comes in. Remember, I said courage is first, absolutely, but you've got to have the wit to drive the recovery after this, and it's not just simply a matter of better roads, more jobs, which is a standard Liberal, Labor, National Greens catch cry during an election. We have to lay out a financial recovery plan that the financial experts, the economists, will look at wide-eyed in wonder and say, "My God, this is brilliant. I can see how this is going to work." In fact, if I didn't mention it last week, and if I did, forgive me, but when Abraham Lincoln printed greenbacks during his presidency and away from the private bank notes that were being printed, he printed government money. That's one of the reasons allegedly he was assassinated. There was a quote in the Financial Times in London. So we're talking during the Civil War, 1864-ish, I guess it was done. And the Financial Times in London said, and I'm paraphrasing, if this goes through, if the people control their finances, they will become richer than they can possibly believe, and it risks every monarchy in the world. And so the monarchies in the world decided that the people cannot control their own currency. That's how powerful it is. Now, we're doing the same here in Oz. Josh Frydenberg, the former treasurer, told us it was 2080 before we could recover from this. The Australian economy is a little over $1 trillion. It'll double and treble in no time, simply because the people will get to keep their money. That's the sort of the top line on this 2% expenditure tax. And very quickly, as we did the numbers last time, I'll go through them again. Combined federal and state expenditure, 2018-2019, was about $750 billion. Receipts was about 515, I think, roughly speaking, $515 billion. So already in the hole for about 240 odd, 230 odd $billion. If we take away all these other taxes, no income tax, no payroll tax, no fringe benefits tax, no capital gains tax, no stamp duty, none of that stuff, take it all away, and just take 2% of every spend everybody makes, tax receipts now go up to $1.3 trillion. So we're now in the black by over a quarter of $1 trillion, $250 billion, now in the black. And what this means is, first of all, the government has more than enough money to do what it needs to do. And best of all, every Australian gets to keep their money. They sell a house and they make $1 million, they keep $1 million. Every cent is theirs. The only impost on anything is a 2% expenditure tax. Now, the reason why this works, and this is why people don't get it, right now, all companies are structured to minimize their tax. And so companies just don't pay a lot of tax because that's the way it's done. But the poor old wage slaves out there, you get docked every fortnight. And so you might be collecting, let's just pick easy numbers, your gross pay might be $1,000 a week, and you come home with $525, and then you're paying on top of that GST and various other taxes, hidden taxes. And so you're really paying somewhere between 60 to 70% tax on you, depending on the spending profile. Well, it takes the burden off the wage slaves, and the entire economy pays. Now, here's the beauty. Everybody's ahead. Even the corporations are ahead because now they've got more money to play with. And so this is just one small part of the economic recovery plan for Australia. And once again, as I said, courage is the first quality of leadership. And then second is your capability, knowing what to do and how to do it. And so, as I said previously, the financial recovery plan is only one leg of the stool. The second leg, of course, is the health recovery for the nation. And this is physical, emotional, mental, psychological, and spiritual renewal of the nation. And once again, this must be done with intelligence and finesse to make sure we get out of this hole, because the shock to the system, to the people, when they understand what's really been going, will be quite profound. So once again, high level of intelligence, high level of expertise, subtle, practical plans that deliver and work. And so that's how it goes. So I'm not surprised that people like the 2% tax idea. It's not ours. It was called the Liberty tax. It was developed by somebody else. We took the original idea, reworked it, refined it slightly. And there are many other elements to it. And this is the important basis for the recovery, because this will end. And this is what everyone listening must understand. What we're going through will end. It's going to end a lot sooner than people think. Now, we've got rough numbers. We've got 6 months of pretty rough times ahead of us, maybe 9. But that we'll go into a dip, and then we're going to come out of it. Now, and I've been telling the A1 people, we've been with shows like this trying to wake people up and say, this is what's going on. Please understand, this is the situation. Most of what you've been told is a lie. Now, what we've done. We've got hundreds of hours of interviews going back years, and that's all out there for people to watch. But right now, what A1 is focusing on is building this ark. And this ark has to be watertight, and it has to have enough room for everybody. And so that's what we're focused on. That's why I'm not doing a lot of outside work, but we are working very hard inside to make sure that every plank is nailed down. It's watertight. The tar has waterproofed the hull, and there's plenty of room for everybody on this ark, because flood's coming, and it's coming sooner than people think. And A1 has to be ready. So, folks, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. What can I do? I'm only one person, said 25.69 million Australians. If you're wondering what to do, join A1, get online as quick as you can, get involved. It'll help you get through, because it's great to spend time with people who have the same view as you. And in helping others, it helps you. And so, yeah, the 2% tax, it's a very clever idea. Not our idea, but we're the only ones obviously going to implement it. And I've got to tell you, it's a lot of fun watching this plan come together, building this organisation that's going to carry a greater number of Australians from where we are to where we need to be.
So the RBA today has upped the interest rates another 50 basis points. I think they've raised it. That brings it up to, I think, 1.8%. They've brought it up in the last 6 months or so. Where does the RBA stand in your scheme of things with a 2% tax rate? What control will these bastards have over our financial system under an A1 government?
Well, the RBA gets rejigged, rebuilt, changed, expanded in some areas, completely contracted in others. We'll appoint a new governor to it, one who knows exactly what the plan is. And so the RBA's current control, it does what it does because it has a model to operate to. We're going to rebuild it, we're going to rename it, and have a different set of roles and tasks. It will control Australian currency. It will control the value of Australian currency. As I said, Australia must control its currency, and it's going to be backed by real assets, a mix of metals, for example. And so the A dollar, whatever happens outside, that's fine. They can have whatever digital currencies and the rest of it. We're going to have an Australian dollar, which is absolutely so valuable and so attractive that people are going to want it. And that's the model we have to use. And the RBA will be involved in creating that. But it also provides services too, in competition with the private banks. So the private banks can do what they want. Now, this is nothing unusual. We had this 100 years ago with the original Commonwealth Bank, and it provided services to Australian people, banking services to Australian people at different rates to the commercial banks. Now, the commercial banks still made good money, and they still did okay. But so powerful and so effective was the Commonwealth Bank that when the governor actually died, the streets were full of mourners, because this guy was such a popular figure, because he genuinely looked after the needs of the people. And for example, they provided lower interest rates loans to people. They never went into the red. They never gouged anybody. But it was once the private banks, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, the rest of them all found how effective it was in maintaining control of the nation's economy. They got in and destroyed it. And that was the whole purpose. And within 10 years, in the 30s, they had basically neutered the bank. The politicians are guilty, of course. They just sold the thing out. So this expanded, what is currently the RBA, will be changed. but it'll control the economy, because as we have now learnt, and we've known this all along, but the people have felt for the first time that this is a national security issue. If somebody else controls your money supply, if somebody else controls your banks, if somebody else controls the interest rates, you're stuffed. And that's a technical term. You're done. You're finished. It's over.
Booked.
And so we're going to make sure we grip that up. And this new revamped RBA will serve the people of Australia.